Is Mercedes doomed to continue struggling in Formula One? The team has identified its biggest problems, but will they be able to fix them in time for 2025? Before I tell you the details, tell me in the comments. Do you think Mercedes will be back in the running for wins in 2025, or will it remain in the shadow of Red Bull and Ferrari? Because if they don't solve these 5 problems, next year could be even worse. Mercedes has shown that its car is highly competitive in cold conditions, as seen at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, but when temperatures rise, the car's performance drops dramatically. This problem has been a constant throughout the season and has been evident on hot circuits such as Singapore and Saudi Arabia, where the team suffered a noticeable loss of performance compared to its direct rivals. High temperatures not only affect the stability of the car, but also aggravate one of the W15's most critical weak points: rear tire degradation. Rear tire overheating is an issue that has significantly limited Mercedes' performance on long runs. Unlike teams such as Red Bull and Ferrari, which have managed to effectively manage thermal wear, Mercedes has faced constant difficulties in maintaining traction when track temperatures are high. This problem is not new and has been present since the introduction of ground effect in 2022, but in 2024 it has become one of the main barriers that have prevented the team from consistently competing for podiums and wins. Premature rear tire wear is directly related to the car's aerodynamic and suspension setup. The W15 has shown a tendency to generate more tire temperature than its competitors, forcing drivers to modify their driving style to avoid excessive degradation. This has resulted in a loss of pace in the final stages of the race, where tire performance is crucial to maintaining a competitive strategy. Mercedes has identified the combination of rear suspension stiffness and downforce distribution as one of the main reasons why the car cannot maintain stable performance in hot conditions. Mercedes technical director James Allison has said that one of the solutions to this problem lies in modifying the design of the rear axle and suspension to allow for better heat dissipation and less heat transfer to the tires. Currently, the car generates a level of thermal stress that, in high-temperature conditions, causes constant overheating that affects both traction and the overall balance of the car. One possible solution is greater flexibility in the rear suspension, allowing the car to better absorb the irregularities of the road without generating a negative impact on tire temperatures. Mercedes has acknowledged that its aerodynamic approach for 2024 has not been efficient enough in managing temperature and is already working on solutions for the W16. One of the key tweaks the Brackley team is considering is a modification to the rear diffuser and floor design to improve airflow channeling and reduce the impact of overheating on car stability. Changes to the cooling of the brake system are also being considered, as heat generated by braking can contribute to increased temperatures in the rear tires and aggravate degradation. Another determining factor in the car's performance in high temperatures is the strategic management of the tires during the race. Mercedes has acknowledged that, on several occasions, it has failed to optimize the choice of compounds and the distribution of stints to minimize thermal degradation. While teams such as Red Bull have found ways to extend the life of their tires without losing pace, Mercedes has had to reduce its aggressiveness in the race to avoid problems with excessive wear. One of the keys for 2025 will be to work closely with Pirelli to better understand how temperature affects each type of compound and develop strategies that allow better use of the tires in different conditions. Mercedes' aim for 2025 is to ensure that its performance is not dependent on external factors such as ambient temperature. If the team can optimize heat dissipation, improve aerodynamic stability and adjust its tire strategy, it will be able to make up ground on its main rivals. If not, it will continue to suffer from the same degradation problems that have limited it in recent seasons and will find it difficult to challenge for wins on a consistent basis. Mercedes has identified that the rear axle has been one of the W15's biggest weak points during the season. Problems associated with this component have affected the car's stability, tire management and the car's ability to maintain a competitive pace in race conditions. This deficiency has been especially evident on circuits with high temperatures, where premature rear tire wear has limited the team's strategic options and forced drivers to reduce their aggression on track to maintain performance in the closing stages. The rear axle plays a crucial role in the balance of the car and the way it interacts with the road, especially during acceleration and braking. In the case of the W15, the lack of stability in this area has led to problems both with traction on corner exit and with downforce management in high-speed sections. The result has been a car that has not only suffered more degradation on the rear tires, but has also been more difficult to drive in extreme conditions, affecting the driver's confidence and their ability to maximize performance in each stint. One of the most obvious symptoms of this problem has been the uneven wear of the rear tires on circuits with high-speed corners. Throughout the season, Mercedes has observed that the wear of its tires does not follow a uniform pattern compared to other teams, suggesting that there is an inefficient distribution of load on the rear axle. This has led to a premature loss of traction compared to rivals such as Red Bull and Ferrari, who have achieved much more efficient management of rear stability on long runs. Another key aspect that has affected rear axle performance is the relationship between the suspension and the structural rigidity of the car. The W15 has required extremely stiff setups to maximize ground effect and generate downforce, but this rigidity has come at a significant cost to the car's handling and ability to adapt to different types of circuits. On tracks with many irregularities or potholes, the car has lost stability more easily, leading to excessive bouncing and accelerated degradation of the rear tires due to the lack of effective damping. Mercedes has identified that improving rear axle management will be fundamental to the development of the W16, and is already working on several technical solutions to this end. One of the main areas of work is optimizing the rear suspension system to reduce extreme rigidity without compromising downforce. The aim is to find a balance that allows aerodynamic efficiency to be maintained off the ground without generating excessive load transfer that affects the stability of the car in fast corners. This adjustment will also benefit Aston Martin, as the Silverstone team sources rear suspension from Mercedes and has faced similar tire degradation issues. Another key approach to solving this problem is the redistribution of the car's weight. Currently, the W15 has shown a tendency to overload the rear of the car in certain scenarios, which has contributed to uneven tire wear and a further loss of performance in races with high temperatures. For 2025, the Brackley engineers are evaluating adjustments to the weight distribution that will allow the load on the rear axle to be alleviated without compromising the balance of the car in high-speed corners. The design of the rear diffuser will also be a key element in the evolution of the W16. A car's ability to generate downforce efficiently depends largely on how air flows through the diffuser and how aerodynamic pressure is managed at the rear of the car. In the case of the W15, a lack of efficiency in this component has forced Mercedes to adopt compromised configurations that have negatively impacted stability in fast corners and traction on corner exit. To address this, the team is working on a redesign of the diffuser that will maximize downforce without generating an excessive increase in temperature in the rear tires. The combined effect of these adjustments will be crucial for Mercedes to make up ground on its competitors in 2025. If the team manages to optimize rear axle management, it will be able to significantly reduce tire degradation, improve the car's stability in hot conditions, and provide its drivers with a more predictable and easy-to-drive car. Otherwise, the team could face another year of difficulties similar to those in 2024, with a car that remains overly reliant on external conditions to be competitive. Mercedes has identified that one of the biggest problems with the W15 has been its inconsistency in high-speed corners. Throughout the season, the team has observed that the car loses performance in these types of corners compared to its main rivals. Toto Wolff has acknowledged that there is a factor in the design of the car that is not being fully understood, which has led to a significant loss of time on circuits where cornering speed is decisive for the outcome of the race. The lack of performance in high-speed corners is due to a combination of aerodynamic and mechanical factors. One of the main problems is that the car does not generate the expected downforce in these conditions, forcing the drivers to reduce speed more than ideal to avoid losing control. In the simulator, the W15 is showing much better performance than seen on track, indicating that there is a mismatch between theoretical data and the car's actual behavior. This gap has been one of the biggest frustrations for the Brackley engineering team, who have been working hard to understand the root of the problem. James Allison, the team's technical director, has pointed out that the loss of performance in fast corners could be related to the car's aerodynamic map and the interaction between the load generated by the ground and the suspension. In theory, the W15 should be able to maintain a sufficient level of grip to traverse these corners with stability, but in practice, the car fails to translate the downforce into an improvement in lap time. This suggests that there is an inefficiency in the way airflow is managed over the car, leading to a loss of downforce at critical moments. Another key aspect that has affected the car's performance in high-speed corners is the configuration of the rear wing. Mercedes has opted for a smaller wing design to reduce drag on straights and improve top speed, but this has had a negative impact on the car's stability in fast corners. While teams such as Red Bull have managed to find an optimal balance between straight-line speed and cornering downforce, Mercedes has suffered from a lack of grip at the rear axle, which has seen the car lose time in these sections. The team has acknowledged that improving performance in high-speed corners will be a priority in the development of the W16. One of the most important changes Mercedes is working on is an optimization of the car's floor design to improve ground effect efficiency and ensure greater high-speed stability. Currently, the W15 tends to be too sensitive to changes in downforce, resulting in drivers having to constantly adjust their driving to compensate for the lack of grip in fast corners. Another solution the team is working on is a complete overhaul of the suspension concept. Chassis stiffness and the way the suspension interacts with the car's aerodynamics have been identified as factors affecting stability in fast corners. Mercedes is exploring adjustments to the suspension geometry to allow for better distribution of downforce without compromising the car's efficiency on straights. The key to solving this problem will be finding a balance between the downforce generated by the ground and that obtained through the upper elements of the car, such as the rear wing and diffuser. Currently, Mercedes has struggled to get these two sources of downforce to work together efficiently. Red Bull has shown that a correct integration of these elements can make a difference to the car's performance, allowing it to maintain stability in high-speed corners without compromising speed on the straights. The Brackley team is also evaluating the impact of the car's weight distribution on the way it behaves in fast corners. In certain configurations, the W15 has shown a tendency to be too unstable at the rear when drivers try to push the car to the limit in fast corners. This problem has been particularly evident at circuits such as Silverstone and Suzuka, where the car has struggled to maintain a competitive pace in sectors that rely on high-speed aerodynamic performance. Mercedes knows that solving this problem will be crucial to its 2025 aspirations. If the team manages to improve aerodynamic efficiency and optimize suspension settings, it will be able to reduce the gap to Red Bull and Ferrari on circuits where fast corners are crucial. Otherwise, the team will continue to face the same inconsistency problems that have limited its performance in recent seasons. Mercedes has faced one of the biggest technical frustrations in recent years: the discrepancy between the car's performance in the simulator and the real results on the track. Since the introduction of the ground effect regulations in 2022, the team has worked with data that suggests a much more competitive car than has actually been seen in the race. This difference between theory and practice has been one of the main barriers that have prevented Mercedes from fighting for victories consistently and has generated great uncertainty about the true capacity of the car. Toto Wolff has acknowledged that there is a fundamental problem in the correlation of data between the wind tunnel, the simulator, and the real behavior of the car on the track. The team has invested heavily in the aerodynamic development of the W15, but the car has not been able to replicate the levels of downforce and stability that engineers expected from their simulations. This problem has led to constant adjustments to the setup throughout the season, with changes sometimes improving performance and sometimes worsening it further. One of the main factors affecting the speed of the W16 is ground effect efficiency. Since the introduction of the new generation cars, Mercedes has struggled to extract maximum performance from the airflow under the car. Unlike Red Bull, which has optimized its aerodynamic concept to generate stable and efficient downforce in different conditions, Mercedes has struggled with fluctuations in the car's stability. This has caused the car to be unpredictable on different types of circuits, performing well in some scenarios and losing performance in others without apparent cause. The team has identified the balance between downforce generated by the ground and that coming from the upper elements of the car as one of the critical points to improve for 2025. Currently, the W15 fails to maintain a constant level of downforce throughout a lap, forcing drivers to make constant corrections to their driving. This affects both driver confidence and the car's ability to maximize its speed in corners and straights. Another key aspect is the rigidity of the chassis and its impact on the car's speed. Mercedes has worked with extremely rigid setups to maximize aerodynamic efficiency, but this rigidity has generated side effects that have limited the car's performance in certain types of corners. When the car goes through a high-speed corner, the interaction between the suspension and the ground is crucial to maintain stability and avoid unexpected grip losses. In the case of Mercedes, this interaction has not been ideal, leading to time losses in sectors where rivals have been able to maintain a higher cornering speed. The relationship between the chassis and suspension has also influenced the car's ability to find traction on corner exit. One of the W15's biggest problems has been the tendency to lose stability at the rear when power is applied on corner exit, which has affected acceleration and the ability to compete on straights. Mercedes needs to find a balance between downforce and the car's weight distribution to ensure that the engine's power is translated into efficient acceleration without compromising the car's stability. Another key point in the W16's quest for true speed is energy efficiency and the integration of the engine with the car's aerodynamics. Although Mercedes remains one of the manufacturers with one of the most reliable and powerful power units on the grid, The interaction between the engine and chassis has not been optimal in terms of aerodynamic efficiency. Red Bull and Ferrari have managed to find a better synergy between the power unit and the airflow surrounding the car, which has allowed them to generate higher straight-line speed without compromising cornering stability. Mercedes has acknowledged that for 2025 it needs to completely overhaul the way the car manages airflow around key components, including the cooling system and radiator layout. More efficient aerodynamics will allow for reduced drag and improved top speed, something that has been a disadvantage compared to its rivals in recent years. The Brackley team is also exploring new solutions and simulation software to improve the correlation between development data and real-world performance on track. Lack of precision in simulations has led to misguided strategies in the setup of the car, which has limited Mercedes' ability to react quickly to the challenges of each race. For 2025, the aim is to reduce this uncertainty gap and ensure that any changes to the car translate into a real improvement in lap times. Finding the true speed of the W16 will be one of the keys to Mercedes being able to consistently challenge for wins again. If the team can solve the data correlation issues, optimize downforce and improve the car's efficiency in different conditions, it will have the opportunity to make up ground on Red Bull and Ferrari. If not, the team will remain trapped in a cycle of inconsistencies that will keep it out of the title fight. Mercedes has bet on Andrea Kimi Antonelli as one of its key pieces for the future. His integration into Formula One is a challenge that the team must manage precisely to maximize his performance and minimize the risks associated with the arrival of a young driver to the most demanding category of motorsport. The transition of a driver from lower categories to Formula One is not an automatic process, and in the case of Antonelli, there are specific factors that Mercedes must consider to ensure that his adaptation is as efficient as possible. One of the main challenges facing Antonelli is the difference in the level of physical and mental demands between Formula 2 and Formula 1. The aerodynamic load, G-forces and length of the races require a level of preparation that exceeds any previous experience in lower categories. Mercedes must ensure that Antonelli receives a specialized training program that allows him to develop the stamina and strength needed to withstand the demands of a Grand Prix without his performance dropping in the closing stages. If Mercedes can fix these 5 problems, the team could regain its place as a title contender in 2025. However, if the deficiencies persist, the Brackley-based team faces another year of frustration, being relegated to a secondary role against Red Bull, Ferrari and possibly McLaren. The upcoming technical and strategic decisions will be decisive in defining its future in the category. Adapting the car to high temperatures will make the difference at critical circuits such as Singapore, Saudi Arabia and Spain. Resolving rear axle management will be key to reducing tire degradation and allowing for more aggressive race strategies. Finding the true speed of the W16 will depend on the team's ability to identify the factors that have limited its real performance and align them with simulation data. Improvement in high-speed corners will be a decisive element at circuits such as Silverstone and Suzuka, where tenths lost on each lap can define the final result. And the integration of Andrea Kimi Antonelli into Formula One will be a long-term investment that could determine the direction of the team in the coming years. Formula One is an environment where every detail counts. A small adjustment can make the difference between fighting for podiums or being stuck in the midfield. Mercedes is at a crossroads and the decisions it makes in these months will be crucial to define whether it will be able to fight for victories in 2025 or whether its decline in the ground effect era will continue. The question now is, what do you think? Do you think Mercedes will be able to solve these problems in time to become a winning team again, or do you consider Red Bull's dominance to be unbreakable? Leave your comment with your opinion and share what other improvements you think they should implement for next year. If you want to closely follow everything that happens in the preseason and learn the keys that will define the 2025 championship, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you don't miss any analysis. In the next video we will talk about the teams that could challenge Red Bull in the next season and what changes can give them an unexpected advantage. See you in the next analysis.